I'm the conference content manager, so I handle the conference program, anything that has to do with education at Medtrade.
Medtrade's been around since like 1979. What's keeping it relevant?
Medtrade evolves for the industry, but I would say it evolves with the industry. I mean, the challenges that we see in 2026 are nothing like the ones in 1979, but every year we rebuild this event focusing on the current issues that matter right now.
What problems does Medtrade solve for DMEs that can't be solved from like a simple Google search or solved online?
You could Google, you could use ChatGPT. I mean, you just can't replicate the moment somebody, grabs you and is like, this is the rep that helped us solve this issue for me, or introduces you to somebody in person. The industry is very generous in that way. The relationships, they build the industry, and that practical, knowledge sharing, it just happens so much faster in person.
For anyone who's listening right now, who may be on the fence about coming or not, but they are leaning towards yes, what topics should owners and operators absolutely not skip this year?
For me, I'd probably go...
Okay, we are live at the #1 DME podcast in the country, claim to fame. And today we have a very special episode where we feature Taylor Williams from Emerald, the company that's behind putting the Medtrade show together. So this is a very timely episode. We're super excited to have you here today. Welcome to the show, Taylor.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Taylor. We're excited about this one.
Sweet. So let's get started. As you know, Medtrade is right around the corner, and providers are kind of deciding whether to attend, what to prioritize, how to make it worth their time. And, this episode is really about cutting through the noise and helping DMEs really understand what's different, what matters, why they should come this year, and how to show up prepared. So let's get into it.
So I'm just to introduce myself. I'm the conference content manager, so I handle the conference program, anything that has to do with education at Medtrade. I work closely with our educational advisory board, our marketing team, to make sure that we have the best educational opportunities for our attendees.
Amazing. Taylor, for someone that's newer to the industry, can you explain what Medtrade is and why it exists and why it's important for them to attend?
Yeah. I mean, Medtrade, the industry deserves a place where suppliers, manufacturers, experts, advocates, they can, all be in the same room and actually solve problems together. The DME industry is incredibly complex. As somebody who is newer to the industry, it's a lot to manage, from reimbursements, audits, compliance, technology, workflow software. So nobody can really keep up alone. So Medtrade kind of serves as that annual home base for everybody to come together and learn from real people who are living through these situations daily, and kind of refuel for the year ahead. So it's the premier national event, the largest gathering point for the DME ecosystem.
That's right. It's amazing. And Medtrade's been around since like 1979. What's keeping it relevant?
Yeah, I mean, you could say Medtrade evolves for the industry, but I would say it evolves with the industry. I mean, the challenges that we see in 2026 are nothing like the ones in 1979, but every year we rebuild this event focusing on the current event issues that matter right now. That's why our advisory board brings, frontline challenges directly into our agenda and makes sure that we select speakers that have direct experience and real world insight. And honestly, the community itself keeps Medtrade relevant. Just the demand alone, I mean, we had 170 plus sessions for our call for speakers cycle this year. So it just shows that these providers show up, they're willing to share what they're working on, they're willing to share what works for them. And I think that energy alone keeps the show alive.
Yeah, that's awesome. You hit a lot of good points there. There's usually one headwind or another kind of facing our industry, for better or for worse. So obviously competitive bid is top of mind, but it's amazing that you guys are very in tune with what's going on and provide this outlet. From your seat, what problems does Medtrade solve for DMEs that can't be solved from like a simple Google search or solved online?
Yeah, I mean, you could Google, you could read an article, you could use ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever your company allows, your AI company. But I mean, you just can't replicate the moment somebody, grabs you and is like, this is the rep that helped us solve this issue for me, or introduces you to somebody in person. the industry is very generous in that way. The relationships they build the industry, and that practical, knowledge sharing, it just happens so much faster in person. Also, on top of that, providers have to touch the products. They want to compare the products. They want to have real conversations. And it's just harder to do that over email. We've all been, a part of inbox tag of reaching out to somebody. They take a week to respond, and you take a week to respond, and going back and forth. So it's just that much easier when you're in person and having those real connections.
Yeah,
Totally.
couldn't agree more.
Yeah, Wayne, you've been going to Medtrade for years now. I'm sure that you've probably had some experiences where you met some people there that you obviously would not have met through just, LinkedIn DMing somebody or trying to email someone, right?
100%, or vice versa. Like we've briefly interacted, never really totally connected, but when you meet someone in person, from a vendor perspective is invaluable. So, we've been going to Medtrade before we even had one customer. We'll be at 500 before we know it. So, we've grown with the conference. Our booth's gotten bigger and bigger every year. I don't know if you know our booth number, Alex. Shout that out. But if anyone attending, make sure you come to the Nico Health booth.
I wish I had that on my computer right now. I'd have to search for it shamelessly. But getting back to
You
Medtrade
won't
a
miss
little
it.
bit.
You'll
Yeah,
know.
definitely
You'll
won't miss
find
it.
Nico
Just look
Health
up.
one way or another.
Yeah,
My
look
favorite
up,
saying
I'll
is
be
all roads lead to Nico Health. So I'm not supposed to be selling software on this episode. So let's get back to Medtrade.
Fair enough. So what kind of feels different in your perspective about Medtrade 26 compared to past years? I'm sure every year is a little bit different.
Yeah. I mean, when I first joined the Medtrade team, my first task was to familiarize myself with the industry. And, it's very complex. And I needed to learn, who the big players were, the home cares, the BGMs, the Pride, the Quantums, Brighttrees. And then I just subscribed to countless newsletters and was reading so many articles, just trying to absorb as much knowledge as I could to prepare myself for the role. So home care, HME News, NCART's biweekly newsletter have been great resources for me. And Medtrade Monday, Greg Thompson, our own, he's great in keeping our team up to date on what's going on. And I also worked closely with our marketing team to review the 2025 post-show report and understand what attendees and exhibitors want most from their conference program. And I will say that the biggest feedback was they want more actionable and practical insight. So to get back to the question, 2026 feels more intentional. It feels like we've rebuilt this program based on what exactly providers are looking for and what they need. Every session, it should have a clear, take-home value. Every speaker has been vetted by our advisory board. They've been prepped on the importance and emphasis of, not just talking at the attendees, but providing them with the actual next steps to take back to their company on Monday, those 3 to-dos to do on Monday. And we're also seeing, big demand for AI, anything automation, workflow, anything that, lifts up a little bit of the administrative burden. You mentioned competitive bidding. That's been a big thing, especially for 2026 with the final rule coming out recently. And then, CRT, we've been trying to promote that vertical, and we're looking to bring back that CRT space for 2026. We know we're competing against, Abilities Expo and other conferences, but just making sure that we provide these therapists, clinicians, OTs, PTs with the opportunity to invest in themselves through education, through our CEU courses.
Awesome. And to your point, DME's here, education a lot. And like you said, looking for actionable items. How are you guys thinking about practical versus theoretical sessions?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned before, Medtrade is definitely leaning more towards practical. Theoretical is great for framing issues, but as we mentioned through feedback, providers are hungry for specifics. They want checklists, they want templates, they want step-by-step examples, which is why our advisory board has really prioritized and made us prioritize sessions that deliver, real tools and not just ideas that people can come to Medtrade because, you invest a lot in Medtrade. You invest in a booth, you invest in your staff coming, you take time away. We just want to make sure that they're getting that return on investment and they're leaving the show with, more than they came.
Awesome. That's great. So my next question is kind of really about for anyone who's listening right now, who may be on the fence about coming or not, but they are leaning towards yes. What topics should owners and operators absolutely not skip this year?
I mean, for me, I'd probably go competitive bidding. It's a big, we're seeing some big changes. We've got 3 competitive bidding sessions. We've got one on submitting bids, one on the bidding process, and then one just general overview of the final changes. I think that's going to be a big demand. And those 3 sessions, each of them repeat once. So people will have 6 opportunities to sit in on a competitive bidding session. We did this so that, attendees have the best opportunity to sit in on those sessions. We know it's very busy. You've got the show floor, you've got 70 plus conference sessions. So we want to give them the best chance to get the knowledge that they need to prepare themselves for this new competitive bidding cycle.
Awesome, great insights, and definitely agree. Those are some hot button items. Switching gears just a little bit, from your perspective, how should DMEs actually approach the expo floor, kind of the other half of Medtrade?
Yeah, I mean, I would say we have a massive show floor. We've got over 300 booths. So I would say come with a plan. I would say focus on your 2 to 3 biggest issues or biggest categories that's going to, move the needle for your business, and focus on those. It's easy to get overwhelmed. There's a lot of booths, there's a lot of things going on, but make sure that you focus on those 2 to 3 essentials, and then leave room for networking and other opportunities. We've got a lot of show floor opportunities from the new product pavilion. We've got 20 plus entries there. We've got more tech talks, more CRT live presentations this year, and we've got a happy hour on the show floor at the end of day 1. So I would say know your 2 to 3 essentials and the categories that you want to focus on, and then leave room for networking.
I actually saw there was a couple networking opportunities. Can you share what those are?
Yeah, so we have the Medtrade Mixer. That's going to be Monday. We've got the expo floor happy hour at the end of day 1. We've also got a lot of state talks, home care updates. We've got, let's see, trying to think off the top of my head. There's so many things going on, but CRT Live, like I mentioned, and we've also got plenty of exciting nightlife and entertainment opportunities in downtown Phoenix, because the Phoenix Convention Center is, in the heart of downtown. So if you're looking for restaurants, rooftop bars, live music, I know Nico Health has a little after party on Tuesday, so
Yeah, we should definitely do a shameless plug here. So anyone who's listening that is in the DME industry and is interested in networking with the best in the business, we do have a massive party that's going to be at the Eden Rooftop. That's at 7 p.m. on March 3rd. That's right by the convention center, just steps away, a couple-minute walk. And it's going to be a really great time, open bar, food, performances that you definitely don't want to miss. DJ, it's going to be out of control. We're really looking forward to you guys coming there, and it's going to be a good time for sure. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of networking to be had at the Medtrade weekend or week for sure.
Thanks, Alex. If you attended last year, you got the tip of the iceberg. We're pumped up for this year with views and I think better weather. So
That's
it's gonna
right.
be hard to object to that.
Going back to Medtrade though, would you say that there's some categories or innovations that you specifically are especially excited to see or hear about?
Yeah, I mean, I sound like a broken record, but competitive bidding, of course, it's been something that I've been following along since I hopped on the Medtrade team, and just truly understanding what that means for suppliers and end users. It's a lot of changes and it's overwhelming, but it's why we have, industry experts who are experts on, the policy and can explain it very well to attendees. So I'm excited to see how attendees interact with those sessions. We also have a legal session called One Big Beautiful Bill, and it's going to be talking about the legislative changes that we're going to be seeing. Policy impacts everything, so I think those are going to be really important sessions. And then, as I mentioned, a lot of, AI, automation, workflow, software. We've got an audit session that talks about regulation and guidance for AI and what suppliers should know when they're using AI to review claims and audit. So I think those are probably my top 3 that I'm most excited to see attendees interact with.
Taylor, question. So I did a poll on LinkedIn the other day about my followers that are mostly DME folks about who's attending Medtrade. 22% were on the fence. Is there anything that you think you can push them over the fence there and make sure they join with us in Phoenix here in a couple weeks?
Yeah, I mean, the move to Phoenix alone is really exciting. We've got great energy from the exhibitors, from speakers, attendees, exciting networking opportunities. We've got a lot of policy updates, state advocacy, learning opportunities with a home care or partner. We've got plenty of education on and off the show floor, tech talks, new product pavilion, CRT Live. We've got 3 days of over 70 sessions from 9 different tracks, including 4 workshops and 4 CEU courses. So there is something for everyone. As I mentioned before, downtown Phoenix has exciting nightlife, entertainment opportunities for people looking to have a little fun after the expo days. And yeah, you will leave with answers and relationships and solutions that are directly tied to your business. It essentially pays for itself in what you learn and who you meet.
Definitely.
Amazing.
And I think after the weather, some of parts of the country have been having, I think Alex actually lives out there. You can tell us if it's nice this time of year or
Yeah,
not.
Scottsdale in March is probably, that's where I live. It's right by Phoenix. Yeah, so yeah, Scottsdale, Phoenix in March is probably the best time of year for anyone to go anywhere. 70s, 80s, perfect, no clouds in the sky. So highly recommend.
Yeah, it sounds a lot nicer than what I'm looking at right now. 6 inches of snow in Jersey. So
Yeah, there you go. I know. I'm looking out
Yeah.
the window right now. I see palm trees and the mountain and
Well,
no clouds, all blue skies. So it's pretty good. Highly recommend it. It's gonna be a great time for sure. I did want to touch on one thing. I know that there's some people that might be coming to the event solo, right? You're a sole representative of the company. Maybe you're a sole practitioner, whatever it is. What advice would you give to somebody who's coming by themselves?
I would say because Medtrade is such a big show, it can be a bit daunting to come by yourself. But I would say don't be afraid to introduce yourself. As I mentioned, this community and this industry is very welcoming. Everybody wants to better the industry by interacting and teaching and helping whoever may need it. And I would say attend networking events. They're there for you. They're there for people who, don't come in massive teams. If you want to expand your network, go to these events, introduce yourself. You never know who you're going to meet, and you'll definitely walk out with new contacts, new ideas, and probably some new industry friends. Just start up a conversation. A lot of the time, some of the most memorable meetups happen, outside of the sessions. They happen at breakfasts or receptions or stuff like that. It's not always super planned out. Just introduce yourself and you will meet a bunch of new industry peers.
Yeah, I totally agree, Taylor. Like Alex said, I've been going to this, I think, for 8 years now. I'll have to go back and look. A long time, but I will say our industry is very generous, and I go to a lot of state and local shows where it's technically some competitors networking with each other, but they are more than happy to give their 2 cents because there's a lot of advocacy in our industry. So there's definitely power in numbers to keep making sure that we get the attention that we should, but and kind of move the industry forward. Because at the end of the day, they're helping patients. So I think everyone has that same mission. So people are extremely friendly in our industry, extremely generous, and definitely like to have a good time. So if you're newer to DME, because the older population is only growing, there's a lot of new and exciting startup DMEs. I would definitely, in my experience, recommend coming, especially if it's your first time. But that does lead me to a question. So I talk to thousands of DME providers every year who say, "Oh, I haven't been to Medtrade in years. I used to go back in the day." What would you say to those folks that kind of, what's changed and why they should, take a flight out to Phoenix if they haven't gone in the last couple of years?
Yeah. I mean, Medtrade today looks completely different. It's more modern, it's more focused, it's more practical. And as you just mentioned, the community is extremely strong, and it's stronger than ever, especially as we're seeing these policy changes that people want to come together and focus on advocacy. And there's a ton of grassroots movements that we're seeing. So if you haven't been in a while, I think this is the year to come back, especially with our move to Phoenix at the Phoenix Convention Center. I think it's gearing up to be a great show, and I don't think you'd want to miss it.
For sure. For sure. Well, thank you for all that feedback, and it's been a really good time so far with the show. But now I think this is usually the point of the show where we move on to the rapid fire, which is sort of like a fun this or that session. So we could jump right into it if you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's do it. Phoenix in March or Vegas in the summer?
Phoenix in March.
Yes.
Yeah. I was a trick question. Coffee before sessions or after?
I would say before. Yeah.
Notebook or notes app?
Notebook. I think writing stuff down, you just remember it easier.
One thing people should pack but forget to pack.
For Medtrade or just in general?
We'll go Medtrade.
A pen. A pen. A lot of times people forget to bring a pen and they're like, oh, let me get your email or let me get this. And nobody has a pen around you. So, yeah, a pen.
Good answer. Expo sneakers or style sneakers?
I think you could meet in the middle, do a little, practical fashion wear. Like I usually wear Vejas, which are comfortable, but also a little bit, more upscale. So
There you go. Okay. I
Nice.
like it. The last one. If Medtrade had a theme song this year, what would it be?
ooh, this is a hard one for on the spot. I'm like blanking on every song that has ever
Yeah, that's
existed.
tough on the
That is a
spot.
tough one. I don't even know if I'd be able to get that, even though I had the question in advance. All right. Well, if you can't get it, it's all right. You still pass. You still
You
pass.
caught me at a bad time.
All good. Well, you can tell me what it is later. We'll swap it in there for you. But
First and last time you ever get asked that question, too.
I
so-
know. Like now I need to figure it out.
right. I know you.
Well, anyone
you can't think
listening,
straight.
drop it in the comments when we post this.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
You can
Yeah.
repost
Yeah,
it
I'll
on
do
LinkedIn.
that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, Taylor, this has been a really fun session. We really appreciate you coming in on very short notice. Obviously, we got Medtrade that's just coming around just a few weeks from now. If anyone wants to get in contact with you or, get in more information about the show or register for the show, what's the best way for that to happen?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on email, Taylor Williams at emeraldx.com. That's my email. And then we will also be having a webinar next week for exhibitors. So everything they need to know regarding prepping for the show, do's and don'ts, important locations for badge pickup, booth setup, boot takedown, anything like that. And then I also want to plug our app. It's a really great resource, especially for exhibitors. They have the opportunity to scan people's badges, which helps track leads, makes that post-show follow-up a little easier. And then anybody can use the app to access the full schedule. It'll be the most up-to-date, including show floor and conference sessions, networking events, anything like that. So.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today. This has been great. We look forward to seeing you on the trade show floor and at the after party.
Yeah, thank you. This has been great. I look forward to it.
Perfect. Take care.